The month of May starts with a bang because Jupiter moves into the sign of Taurus. What awaits us with this very important transit, which gives hope, which only happens every 12 years. And at the same time, we have a very explosive and unusual energy cocktail that will reach its peak in May. But for now, I welcome you on my YouTube channel. And if you would like to have a weekly energy update to know what is most important for you, feel free to sign up for my newsletter where I share a lot of information with you every week. And I also have written a book about Vedic astrology where you can learn more about the meanings of the houses and the planets, and you can order it in our online store. A very important energetic shift takes place on May the 1st. Jupiter, the planet that stands for prosperity, for happiness and optimism and spirituality, moves into the sign of Taurus. And this starts a new phase. And what this means for all of us, and especially the USA, Ukraine, Israel and Iran, I will explain to you today. And at the same time, in May, we have a very explosive energetic cocktail of Rahu and Mars in the sign of Pisces. And they will be exact conjunct on May the 18th. This will be a very important day. But before I go into the details, many of you know that in my last astrological energy updates I talked about the topic of water, that water will become very important, and floods, especially the crazy weather situation in the desert. I spoke about this, and that's exactly what has then been confirmed in Dubai with this extreme flooding. As well as in China, there were also massive flooding. And I also spoke about the risk of earthquakes. And we saw earthquakes around the world, in Taiwan, USA, Japan, in Germany, as I predicted. But now let's see what awaits us in May. Jupiter, the great benefic planet, where he moves, he brings his blessings. Jupiter is for a whole year in one of the 12 zodiac signs. And I'm talking about Vedic astrology. And in Vedic astrology, we are referring to the real position of the stars and planets in the sky. And Jupiter moves on May the 1st into the sign of Taurus, which brings the focus on the financial system, the stock market, and also on food production. Jupiter is about prosperity, and also it is connected to the topic of children, wisdom, spirituality. And with Jupiter there can be improvements and blessings in these areas, and especially when he moves into the sign of Taurus. And also the topic of beauty, fashion, cosmetics will become important. And Jupiter brings the feeling of stability in our life and optimism. And this can improve the life of many people worldwide. We have undergone a major transformation the last years. And now we can really realign ourselves with Jupiter in Taurus and reap the fruits harvest. But Jupiter is in the lunar mansion Kritika the first time, and especially in May. And we call this also the nakshatras. And Kritika is very fiery, very passionate. It is a lunar mansion of the sun, and therefore this will also bring selfish tendencies And especially with Jupiter, it is about that everyone thinks he is right, especially when it comes to our belief system and religious beliefs. And it is generally so that with Jupiter, you always decide, is it right or is it wrong? And this will unfortunately bring more religious conflicts and also terrorist attacks because of religious beliefs. And this also happens because on the opposite sign of Taurus, we have the sign of Scorpio. And Scorpio gets also an aspect of Jupiter. And with these energies, people will try to use weapons to assert their rights. What else is important in the month of May? We have a new moon on May the 8th in the sign of Aries. The sun and moon meet together at 23 degrees and 50 minutes. Aries is a very self-centered energy. It is about our own needs. That's also very important. Asserting our own rights. But it also brings new ideas and inspirations. This lunar mansion where the new moon takes place is called Bharani, and the symbol of Bharani is a womb. It is about giving birth to something new, and this is often connected with a painful process, but it is about justice and being fair, and yes, we are in the middle of this birthing process right now. You experience that the old structures and systems do not really work anymore and are losing more and more of their importance, of their important role. And in such phases, there is often a lot of chaos before the reorganization. And the ruler where this new moon takes place is planet Mars. Planet Mars sits not in the sign of Aries, it sits in the 12th house from the place of Aries in the sign of Pisces and brings there a lot of fire. Like I told you, because there in Pisces we also have the upper lunar node Rahu, and these are very explosive energies. It is a really extreme energy that makes this new moon very intense, so to speak. The energies of the month are not easy to handle, and on May the 18th, like I told you in the beginning, Mars and Rahu will be conjunct exactly. And this means around this time there could also be more serious conflicts, and this can also take place on the water because the sign of Pisces is strongly connected with the seas, and this can also mean a war on the ocean. Rahu and Mars are very strongly connected also to the element of fire. And for this we will see more big fires, maybe totally unexpected. And maybe also connected with even temples and churches or hospitals, because they are all also connected to the sign of Pisces. And unfortunately, people are still very restless with these energies. In the USA, we are also experiencing a lot of young people in schools and education institutions that they are dealing with this topic of religion and belief systems and racism, and there are many good approaches that are committed to peace where those young people stand up and show us all that we can have a different opinion and do not want to conform to the old system. The energies are very rebellious, and many people are becoming with this energy more critical about the one-sided view of the reporting in the media. Mercury, planet Mercury, has been moving forward again since April the 25th, which means that many projects that have in the last weeks come to a standstill are now progressing much better again, and due to the fact that this Mercury retrograde was so intense. Many things have been corrected in this Mercury retrograde phase, and you may have experienced this also in the last weeks. A lot of problems in communication with technical devices and contracts, but now this Mercury is very powerful again and helps us to move forward. In my last energy update for the full moon, I also talked about the fact that a lot of people are ill right now. And that also has to do with the current energies, especially the last solar eclipse has triggered a lot of those energies, which are now unfolding. And even it can show up in serious illnesses, but also in symptoms of a cold. And this is mainly connected to a lot of old and unresolved issues that are coming up to surface right now, which you may have ignored for a long time and did not want to perceive. The topic of illness and maybe also a new pandemic, a new virus can flare up again with this current energy cocktail, with Mars in the sign of Pisces connected to Rahu, especially the next 2 months until the beginning of June. We will see how it will play out. Venus, the planet of love and relationships, and also our monetary system, will be in the first 2 weeks in May combust. What does that mean? Venus will be so close to the Sun that her qualities cannot really be perceived very well. This means it can bring a difficult time when it comes to love, to partnerships, and our values, and enjoying life. You may feel not loved, and you may experience a lot of unfulfilled desires with Venus in Aries. But there is also a lot of energy to commit yourself to the things that you wish for, a lot of passion, and to fulfill your deepest wishes. But the energy of the combust Venus and also Jupiter in the first 2 weeks of May will also delay the good impact of Jupiter in Taurus. But it's only a delay, and Jupiter will then start at the end of May to bring his blessings for all of us, and also for the markets, the financial system, and also it will bring up good things for the stock market and for the production of food, whereby Jupiter also stands for higher prices. The full moon takes place on May the 23rd in the sign of Scorpio at 8 degrees. And there is, by the way, a very powerful fixed star called Yet Prior, a star in the left hand of the constellation the Serpent Bearer. And the Serpent Bearer holds the snake. He is the revolutionary. He stands for spirituality. And the snake represents wisdom and the reminder that we cannot find the truth by ignoring our dark side. There is no escape. But the snake also shows us with its poison that it has a great power and can develop into something positive or something negative. The serpent bearer stands for healing, for the awakening of the Kundalini energy. But if we do not use our God-given power, if we do not use it properly, then this can lead to destruction, and that's not so easy. But those energies are really exciting. But the month of May will be still very turbulent with those energies. And yes, we are in a great transformation that we are currently experiencing, everybody of us. Jupiter will bring a lot of changes in the sign of Taurus for the next year. And if you want to know what this means for you, check your own Vedic horoscope and see what the sign of Taurus is for a house in your horoscope. Every house has a unique life theme, so that you will understand where Jupiter brings blessings in your life and guidance. What can we see astrologically for the Ukraine, the USA, Iran and Israel for the month of May? And if you want to know more about your country, check my membership, where you can ask me personal questions. You find the link in the description box below this video. And I recently published a video on Iran and Iraq, where I have gone through more details than today. Check this out. So we start with the horoscope of the Ukraine. The transit of Jupiter takes place in the 5th house. Jupiter rules the 12th house and the 3rd house. So it is about the topic of friendship and alliances, whether they will last. It is a good energy when it comes to building and rebuilding the infrastructure, but also that the war can spread to neighboring countries. And also it can mean that organizations that have pledged their support, promised their support, can suddenly drop out. Not reliable promises. With Scorpio in the 11th house, in the opposite side. For Israel, Jupiter moves into the 9th house, and this can help to make new and better decisions, which will hopefully bring more peace. But with Scorpio on the opposite side, in the 3rd house, it can mean that the neighboring countries don't really stick to what they say. The opponents are very strong with Mars and Rahu in the 7th house, and this can also go hand in hand with the destruction of holy places, temples and hospitals. For Iran, the transit of Jupiter takes place in the 11th house, which means more support from friendly organizations and powerful friends, maybe with a religious background. They will experience more resources they have access to. But for the country itself and the economy, a rather difficult development we will see with Scorpio in the 5th house. This stands not for stability. For the chart of the USA, Jupiter moves into the 6th house, and this can bring better working conditions, but also much more depth. And with Mars and Rahu in the 4th house, this speaks of terrorism and strife, and a lot of rebellion in the own country, because the 4th house is the own country. So that was a short energy update for May. And the energies show us something new is coming. The change of Jupiter is very significant. And I will make a video for all 12 zodiac signs. So please subscribe to my YouTube channel to understand more what this energy shift means for you personal. And Jupiter is a blessing. And we all have a Jupiter in our horoscope. And it's always about what we personally do with our life. Whether we live our Jupiter in a good way. And Jupiter speaks of our own wisdom and our ability to make the right decisions. With this in mind, please share this video. And thank you so much for listening, and I love you.